Ferrari spent millions signing Lewis Hamilton, and he just delivered the worst season of his entire Formula One career. No podiums, out-qualified and out-raced by Leclerc. And now, the Ferrari board is quietly turning against him. Insiders say there's tension at Maranello, and some are even pushing to end Hamilton's contract early. This could explode before 2026 begins. If you want to stay ahead of the biggest shakeups in F1 and find out what happens next in this Ferrari disaster, hit subscribe right now before the story gets even worse. When Ferrari announced Lewis Hamilton's arrival for 2025, it wasn't just a sporting decision, it was a high-stakes corporate move. Hamilton was not only expected to bring pace and podiums, but also to elevate Ferrari's brand globally, especially in key English-speaking markets. The board saw this as a legacy-defining partnership. The expectation was that his presence would attract sponsors, energize the factory, and bring an immediate performance boost. Instead, it triggered confusion, friction, and decline. From the very beginning of pre-season testing, it was clear Hamilton was struggling. The Ferrari SF25, already tailored around Charles Leclerc's driving style, felt unpredictable to Hamilton. He lacked rear-end confidence, complained about inconsistent traction, and never looked at ease. Engineers worked overtime to adjust the car to his liking, tweaking ride height, adjusting differential settings, even compromising setups. But the gains never came. He remained off Leclerc's pace at almost every circuit. The chemistry with the team was also off. In press conferences, Hamilton often seemed disconnected, at times praising Mercedes' working culture more than Ferrari's. At Imola, he made headlines when he said, "The car doesn't talk to me, it fights me." These subtle jabs didn't go unnoticed at Maranello. Unlike Mercedes, where Hamilton had helped shape the team culture, at Ferrari, he was the outsider, respected, yes, but never fully integrated. One of the most painful moments came at Monza, Ferrari's home race. While Leclerc qualified on the front row and battled for a podium, Hamilton qualified 9th and finished a distant 7th. The Tifosi were polite, but the energy was gone. Italian media described his drive as anonymous. The board reportedly held a closed-door debrief after the race, where frustrations over Hamilton's lack of impact began surfacing more openly among upper management. Financially, the deal is now being questioned. Hamilton's salary is among the highest on the grid, and it came with performance-based expectations. With no podiums and no uplift in team morale or results, executives are asking whether the return justifies the investment. Unlike younger drivers, Hamilton isn't a long-term bet. His value is always going to be short-term impact, but with no impact to speak of, the logic behind the move is unraveling fast. Even Leclerc's camp has grown uneasy. Internally, sources say the Monégasque driver wasn't thrilled about sharing the spotlight with a 7-time champion. But after dominating Hamilton all season, the dynamic has shifted. Leclerc has reasserted himself as the team leader, and the garage, quietly, has started to lean more toward him. Engineers trust his feedback more. Strategists prioritize his race plan. Hamilton's influence, despite his legacy, is shrinking. In short, the Ferrari-Hamilton experiment is already being viewed as a miscalculation. It wasn't just poor performance, it was the wrong driver at the wrong time in the wrong environment. And with the team under pressure to deliver in the 2026 regulation reset, the big question remains: does Ferrari double down on Hamilton for one more shot, or admit defeat early and prepare for a post-Hamilton future? The 2026 regulation overhaul is looming large, and Ferrari cannot afford to get it wrong. The new car will be lighter, narrower, and powered by an all-new hybrid system with active aero and a fundamentally different driving profile. This project is already well underway inside Maranello, and the driver input received in the next few months will shape how the car behaves for the next 3 years. Ferrari's engineers are now facing a critical question: whose driving style should define the direction of development? Until recently, the plan was to build the 2026 car using both Hamilton's and Leclerc's feedback equally, benefiting from Lewis's deep technical understanding and decades of experience. But given Hamilton's poor adaptation to the 2025 car, his feedback has been inconsistent. Some engineers feel it reflects his struggle with the current Ferrari concept more than what the 2026 platform truly needs. That's a dangerous uncertainty for a project this sensitive. Meanwhile, Leclerc's voice is growing stronger in technical meetings. He's been with Ferrari since 2019 and has built trust inside the team. His ability to extract pace from Ferrari machinery, no matter how flawed, gives engineers confidence that his feedback is reliable. That influence, now paired with his dominant 2025 season, means Leclerc may become the sole compass guiding Ferrari's 2026 design. This would sideline Hamilton not officially, but functionally. There's another layer to this tension: contracts. Leclerc is reportedly locked in through 2028, while Hamilton is on a 2-year deal expiring after the 2026 season. Ferrari now faces a strategic crossroads. Do they design their next-generation car around a driver who may leave in 12 months? Or do they fully commit to Leclerc and begin grooming a younger successor to partner him from 2027 onward? This is not just a performance debate, it's a long-term team identity decision. Internally, some figures at Ferrari are advocating for a clean break. The argument is simple. If Hamilton's debut season was this far off the mark, what realistic gains can be made in one more year? Would it be smarter to end the contract early, potentially through a mutual exit clause, and give a young driver the 2026 car from day one? Names like Ollie Behrman and Carlos Sainz are quietly resurfacing in these discussions, even if unofficially. On the flip side, there are those in Maranello who still believe in Hamilton's legacy and what he can bring if the car suits him. They argue that 2025 was simply a mismatch, and that the 2026 platform, with its greater reliance on electrical deployment and driving finesse, could play to Hamilton's strengths. After all, he adapted faster than anyone during the hybrid revolution of 2014. If given a clean slate and a car that works with him, Hamilton could still strike back. Ultimately, the next 3 months are crucial. Simulator sessions, early 2026 prototypes, and feedback cycles will decide whether Hamilton remains central to Ferrari's future or becomes a side character in Leclerc's story. For the board, the financial implications are real. For the engineers, the technical path must be clear. And for Hamilton, this may be the final chance to prove that his move to Ferrari wasn't a mistake, but the beginning of one last redemption arc. For Lewis Hamilton, the failed first season at Ferrari is more than just a professional setback. It threatens to cast a long shadow over one of the greatest legacies in motorsport history. 7 world titles, over 100 wins, a career defined by dominance, consistency, and cultural impact. But now, at the twilight of that career, the headlines are no longer about victory, they're about decline. And the longer the struggles continue, the louder the doubts become. Hamilton's move to Ferrari was meant to be a swan song, a chance to win with a third team and join legends like Fangio and Prost in lifting Ferrari back to glory. It wasn't just about records. It was about completing the narrative. But what we're seeing instead is a disconnect between ambition and execution. And for a driver who built his legacy on control, adaptability, and performance under pressure, this season has chipped away at all three. The truth is, Formula One has changed. The new generation is relentless. Drivers like Norris, Russell, Piastri, and even Sainz are not waiting for Hamilton to find his rhythm. They are out-qualifying him, out-racing him, and shaping the future of the grid without hesitation. The sport is evolving rapidly technically, strategically, and politically, and even a legend can get left behind when timing, machinery, and momentum all go wrong. There's also the physical toll. While Hamilton remains supremely fit, age does eventually matter in a sport this demanding. The 2026 cars will be more agile, more electrically complex, and harder to master mentally than ever before. Constant active aero shifts, massive battery deployment management, and lower grip thresholds will demand adaptability on a level few drivers have ever faced. Can Hamilton, who struggled with Ferrari's 2025 balance, realistically reinvent himself again at nearly 42? Then comes the psychological toll. A full year without a podium, constant defeats by a teammate, criticism from the media, doubts from inside his own team. These things wear on any driver, no matter how experienced. And while Hamilton has always been mentally strong, this season has revealed a version of him rarely seen, uncertain, frustrated, and at times disconnected. That kind of energy doesn't fuel comebacks, it often signals exits. But there is still time. If Ferrari gets the 2026 car right, and Hamilton clicks with it early, he could silence critics in an instant. He doesn't need to win a title, he just needs to fight again. Run with the frontrunners. Beat Leclerc occasionally. Show flashes of the Hamilton that ruled the hybrid era. If that happens, the narrative flips. The story becomes one of resilience, not regret. In the end, Hamilton's legacy won't be defined by a single bad season. But how he responds to it, how he finishes his Ferrari chapter will decide whether he retires as the undisputed legend who walked away on his terms or the champion who stayed 1 year too long. And with Ferrari now under pressure from the top, The clock is ticking on every session, every lap, and every decision.